Blessed greetings. Happy Sabbath. You are listening to the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast, the voice of Sacrificial Lamb Ministries. The WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast stands for God's truth, not man's traditions, and we bring you straight Bible truth for these last days. The WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast is a global outreach ministry of Sacrificial Lamb Ministries. We are outreach driven. Hello everyone. Once again, happy Sabbath. This is Pastor Vince and welcome to another edition of Ellen White Speaks, the Sabbath edition, where we bring you excerpts from the writings of author Ellen G. White. Today, or this episode, is not going to be any different from what we've been doing probably all this past week, and that is we've been spending time in the book called The Three Angels' Messages by Ellen G. White. So it's called The Three Angels' Messages, God's Proclamation for the Last Days. So yeah, I told you before that we're going to be spending a lot of time in this particular book talking about the three angels' messages, which are found, of course, in God's Word in Revelation 14, specifically Revelation 14, verses 6 through 12. You can read about that in God's Word. If you're not already familiar with the three angels' messages, you can go to God's Word in Revelation 14, verses 6 through 12. So without further ado, I want to share something once again from chapter 1. This is actually from chapter 1, once again from this book, The Three Angels' Messages. Chapter 1 is entitled The Setting and Relevance of the Three Angels' Messages. And the title of this particular portion is called To Prepare God's People. Ellen White says this: to prepare a people to stand in the day of God, a great work of reform was to be accomplished. God saw that many of his professed people were not building for eternity, and in his mercy, he was about to send a message of warning to rouse them from their stupor and lead them to make ready for the coming of the Lord. This warning is brought to view in Revelation 14. Here is a threefold message represented as proclaimed by heavenly beings and immediately followed by the coming of the Son of Man to reap the harvest of the earth. That comes from Great Controversy, page 311, 1888, and 1911. So again, this is called To Prepare God's People. That's what we're called to do. That's what this ministry is called to do. And other ministries around this world are called to prepare God's people for the second coming of Jesus Christ. If you've been following us on this podcast for some time, maybe you've heard our episodes of Eyes on Prophecy, where we've been talking about different things. And as a matter of fact, we had a lesson not too long ago, probably like a month or two ago, called Angel Messages from Space. And that particular lesson dealt with the three angels' messages. So if you haven't heard it, if you weren't with us during that lesson study, I invite you to scroll back to Eyes on Prophecy and look for Angel Messages from Space. We broke it up into, I can't remember, probably 5 or 6 parts or whatever. But you'll see it when you scroll back. Again, look for Eyes on Prophecy and you'll see Angel Messages from Space, if you want to find out more about what we studied in that particular lesson. But friend, this is what God wanted me to share with you today on this Sabbath. Again, this is coming out of the book, The Three Angels' Messages by Ellen G. White. I hope this was a blessing for you. I pray that this impressed you in some type of way to learn more about the three angels' messages if you're not already familiar with them. So I hope you have a blessed Sabbath. Have a great weekend and join us once again, God willing, on Monday morning for another edition of Ellen White Speaks. Be blessed.